So, are you able to see?
Sure, we can see it. You can start here.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. My name is Gisela Garcia Garza, and my research project is about encouraging learner autonomy in advanced level students. This this research took place at a private high school institution here in Ciudad Madero, Tamaulipas. And I chose this topic because my students were constantly asking for help before even trying to do tasks independently. So my research focus was, of course, my advanced level high school students with strong English, but such limited independence to produce it. And well, for my research questions, the first one was why do students avoid working independently? Which I believe this question is actually the heart of my research because I needed to understand why my students were lacking the confidence and the independence to produce the language instead of using their knowledge. Then, how do reflection and structured tasks support autonomy? Well, for this question, I actually took a risk because I wanted to change the approach of my lessons and the approach in my classroom. So, well, by the way, it was worth it. So yeah. Um, Now, how does teacher guidance affect student independence? To be honest, I believe this question was more for me than for my students because I was feeling like uh, so frustrated as a teacher because my students were asking, I mean, they are advanced students, advanced level students, and they were asking, for example, so simple translations. I don't know, like 8 times per minute. I know it sounds like too much, but it's actually true. And I felt like a walking dictionary sometimes. So it was exhausting for me. And yeah, well, now the strategies or actions I took in my classroom. Here I have a list. The first one was classroom observation. This one was so important because it helped me identify the situation of each student. Like, for example, I needed to understand if my students were actually lacking confidence, if they were struggling, or if they were just avoiding the work, you know? Also, pair work. I paired stronger and less confident students so they help each other with their different language skills. Also, I use guided and structured tasks, which, yeah, it took a lot of extra time, but it was, at the end, it was worth it. Um, then the use of models and examples. Yeah, I use a lot of examples when explaining something, and my students were able to follow those examples, even though of course, I asked them to avoid using the exact same example, but I asked them to yeah, to feel free to use those examples. Now, encouraging students to attempt tasks before asking for help. Yeah, they needed a lot of encouragement to start. So that was another strategy that it was actually challenging for me and for them, but it was also worth it. Now, peer support and collaborative problem solving. Um, well, this one was, for example, let's say my students would ask for a translation of a word, and instead of me giving them the answer, they will work together as a class to answer and to give synonyms. So it was pretty fun, and rewarding for me as a teacher to watch. And also it created like a positive environment in my classroom, as and also like it gave us like a sense of community because they were all working together. Now, the evidence collected, I of course used the templates provided by your tutor, the teacher self-reflection journals, which showed how often students ask for help before trying, observation checklist, which reveal patterns in participation and independence, and student work samples, which showed how students improved over time. For this last one, the student work samples, actually, I have an example. I asked my students at the beginning of the research to do a writing task, which was called "If Dreams Could Be Real." And this particular task highlighted students' reliance on teacher support before attempting tasks. They actually struggled a lot to write this, even though I thought I was giving them so simple instructions. I gave them the topic, which was if dreams could be real. And I also gave them like the structure. I told them to write 3 paragraphs, the beginning, the middle, and the ending. But they struggled a lot to do this writing task. But it was pretty funny for me to see that at the end of the semester, I asked them to, after implementing all of these strategies, I asked them to do this writing again, which, by the way, they didn't even remember. They already did that. So this time, I gave them like a guided step to with the slides. I created some slides and I gave them steps to follow. It was like a guided writing this time. And I was surprised to see how they were able to actually start and complete the task. So yeah, that was also important to me to notice how they started to develop those skills and put them into practice. Now, regarding key findings, well, my students needed structure to start tasks. As I already told you, I find that they needed some structure, not only instructions, but a structure to follow, to feel confident enough to start. Another thing that I find was that 12 out of 19 students asked for help before even trying, which just picture yourself in that position as a teacher. I felt like a failure. Yeah, I felt terrible. And but yeah, I mean now I feel a little bit better because everything has changed. But yeah, at the beginning was so difficult for me. And then peer collaboration increased confidence. For this one, I was actually, I mean, it was difficult for me to implement this one because I was scared that they would misbehave when working together as a group, even if they were in small groups or pairs, or they yeah, that they will be distracted by other things. But I was impressed by seeing and yeah, identifying that they were actually sharing ideas and working together. They felt confident when working together instead of just talking about something else. They were actually completing the tasks. Now, the impact and insights. Well, I believe and I learned from this research that autonomy must be explicitly taught. It's not something implicit when teaching. It's something we need to teach our students. Even if we're working with lower level students, we need to teach them how to be autonomous. Also, peer collaboration increased student confidence, as I already told you before. Even if I've heard about this at first, it was a great strategy, and I will continue using it. I mean, I don't think I will use it like every single day, even though they will love that. But maybe twice a week, something like that. And students became more willing to try before asking for help. Yeah, they felt more confident enough to even start tasks, and they were not scared anymore of trying and making mistakes, which is something so important. So what's next? Well, I will continue using reflection journals and, of course, observing and note taking, because I believe that makes a huge difference. Also, I will continue designing guided tasks with a clear structure, even if those take some extra time and effort. I believe those are important for them, so I will take the time. Also use peer collaboration more intentionally, as I already told you, maybe not every single day, but yeah, I will maybe twice a week. And give students more time to think before helping them. Well, this, I believe it may sound controversial because you will say, like, well, you are the teacher. You need to give them the answers and you need to help them every single time. But no, I think that's also, um, I don't think that's good for us as teachers, because we also need to learn that we need to give them that independence. And I also shift my role towards facilitating learning rather than providing answers. And by this, I mean that, for example, I was thinking the other day that, let's say let's say I answer all of their questions, right? But what if they travel and they need to communicate in English? I'm not going to be there next to them to answer their questions. So I need, of course, I need to take the time to teach them the syllabus and the vocabulary and the grammar and everything. But also, I need to help them create or to obtain those tools to communicate by themselves. So I believe they need to build confidence and they need to trust themselves so they can do that. So I just wanted to say that I believe this research really shaped my teaching. It helped me grow as a teacher a lot, and I'm really thankful because, well, for all of your guidance, the guidance of our tutor, of course, and thank you for you because you're here listening, and of course I will listen to your advice. Um, and well, I think now it's time to the Q&A. So yeah, thank you very much for listening and for being here.
Thank you very
That's
much, Isela. Excellent job. Thank you very much for sharing. And you know what? I'll share something curious, something surprising for me. Yesterday, we had three students presenting, and they had kind of similar topics. They were slightly different. So it was kind of meaningful for them to see similar project, but from the different point of view. And today, you see the same situation. Your project's like kind of similar, right? Talking about confidence and how you managed to get those results. Wow, it was randomly. It was not in purpose, so it was just random. I just took a list and put the names, and I gave you a chance to swap if you wanted to, but but that was just you see it happens. Okay, any questions or comments, guys? Go ahead, Salome. And then
Me.
Ingrid. Okay.
Hello, Gisela. Well, I think we all been there. Like at the beginning, we feel like we don't know how to be teachers. And then we start to notice that we can actually save them from what they are struggling with. So I really understand what you were like describing, like your feelings and emotions as frustrated as teachers. And yes, I think we've all been there. And well, at the end, you said something that's stuck on my head, and it says that we need to help them all the time. And I think that we should not, because that necessity for them to understand or to create or to produce, we teach them how to do it somehow, and they will find a way to do it. And also, you mentioned, like, yes, we need to teach all the syllabus and everything, the content that we have and everything, and be those academic teachers. But I'm also, and maybe it's not a question, it's just a comment, but I'm always offending us English teachers as life skill teachers too. It's like when we are teaching another language, it's another way of survival. So we are teaching them life skills, and that should be part of our syllabus too, even if we don't write them in the syllabus. That comes like with our personalities. And I feel like at the end, that's something that you found with this research and that you take from this. And I feel like you learn a lot from what you said from the beginning to your conclusions. I feel like you've been like learning a lot from what you can do with your students and how your students are developing thanks to all your shaping and everything you did. So it's more like a comment than a question, but I feel related with your comments.
Thank you, Salome. I appreciate your comments. Yeah, and I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Ingrid?
Yes, thank you. Mine is also a comment, but it comes along with a question. And how old were your students, or are your students, if they are still the same students?
They are 15 to 18 years old.
And that class was in a private school, or it was at a language center?
No, it's a private school,
A
private high
private.
school institution. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I am asking you that because I think it's something really important, as Salome said, and I think as we all have been living through. And you are, to say it like that, a new teacher. We are a little bit more experienced in that matter. I believe the most of all above 10 years teaching, and that happened to all of us. And it depends too much on the context of the school, because when we are working in a private school and students have to go to study English, they are not going to have the interest, not all the time. And it's something that I found out and that I came with the difference when I found and when I started teaching an adult class. They were eager to understand, they were eager to learn, they were eager to develop the language, and I didn't have to ask to study by themselves, to use a dictionary, to comment with the classmates and something different. And that helped me to realize that I was doing something different and something good, that I was trying to help my students that were in elementary school, because I was in elementary school at the moment. And I was trying to give them everything that that I had in my hands, because it was something about the institution. I was like having to clock in with the timings, with the book content, to comply in all the book, to comply in all the syllabus, the grades, and the extra topics that we have, and all those elements. And we need to, which we're trying to focus and everything at the same time. But regarding the language, that was something different. So I am happy also to see that you are getting to that point as a teacher, to realize that not everything depends on what we are handing them about, and but to help them to develop different skills, to actually start developing skills by themselves, and to analyze what they are doing, to be and to have an acknowledgement about how they are learning. And that's something completely different. But I just wanted to share that I think it's something really important that we may not be aware until we start working in a different setting, or a different school, or a language center that is completely different from a school that goes in the formal normal format of basic school or something like that. So that was my comment, but thank you very much. It was pretty rewarding to see that we were not only the only ones feeling that like that, that it's something common that we were presenting. Thank you very much and congratulations, Gisela.
Thank you, Ingrid. Yeah.
Exactly, totally agree. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any last comments or questions? So, as I think it was the last participant for today, right?
Yes.
The presentation. Okay, so then I have Jesus had a question, and then we go with Alonso. I think Jesus was first to raise his hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Gisela, hey, congratulations. I want you to tell you that you are not alone. We are with you. We are with you. And I totally understand your point and the way that you feel like a frustrating because you want like a solve all the problems, but let them go. Okay. So now the question is after all of this process, now or for the future um, groups that obviously you will have. How do you think it helps you to grow as a teacher, or how do you think to implement this research in your future lessons or classes or groups?
Thank you, Cristobal. Well, I believe that it will come like natural now. I would just let them make mistakes if they need to, and I will relax a little bit more. But I will be there to help them when they actually need it, not when they are just like avoiding the tasks. Yeah, I need to identify better because I thought that they were struggling with the language, but it wasn't that. It was just sometimes that they didn't want to try. So yeah, I need to be more aware of that now. Mhm.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, and Alonso.
Yes, thank you very much, Gisela. Well, let me tell you something. Teaching high schoolers, high school students is not easy, and you because you look very young, so definitely, okay, it's not easy for you when you're a young, okay, English teacher to teach young, okay, adults. It's not an easy task. And okay, definitely, Ingrid, I will say the motivation it really something that really takes you into account when you're teaching English. That's for sure. That's for sure, and something that is very different when you like you, Gisela, right? You're a high school student, so their motivation is very different when you're teaching the language center. Is differently, and yeah, I totally agree that we as English teachers, soft skills, something that or many syllables they don't really ask us to teach, but they really something that is within or okay or a class is something that we need to teach our kids because English is definitely something that will help them a lot in the future. And remember, Gisela, something that you were telling me, right? Fluency, it was something that I end, okay, at a quote in my presentation. Fluency begins where fear ends. But I have a question for you. Uh, from all the tools that you use, because I was kind of confused to collect data, uh, which one is the one that was most important to you, and what that's and one, and which one do you consider the most reliable one? Because that's not an easy, topic that you said. How can you measure when students okay start being independent or not, or they start relying on the teacher? I was can difficult for me to identify. How do you measure that? So which one of the tools that you use to collect data do you think was the most relevant for you or the most important to, the outcome of your research? Because you're very young and something that you will need in the future is that to have a clear map when you're doing a research.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Alonso. To answer your first question, well, I need to be completely honest with you. I believe the templates, yeah, are useful, but for me, what was like the most important or the most helpful tool was note taking and observation. I needed to observe them a lot. So yeah, then I fill out those templates, but it was important to me to observe them And it was pretty easy for me to notice when they were more independent because they weren't asking that many questions as before. So I believe that was the like yeah, like the thing that made me realize that they were more independent and autonomous.
So you
So
think that scaffolding strategies help you with that?
well, maybe yeah, but I don't know, just I believe just observing and note taking was like the main thing for me. But I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
okay, Giselle. That's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
I love
Thank you.
taking notes. Maybe that's why.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, thank you very much. Well, again and again and again, you did a great job. Thank you very much. I know you first were very nervous, but well, I hope you feel like it was something useful for you to observe other well, group mates, your peers also did a great job. So you had something like this foundation to learn from them. What they have becomes maybe part of your knowledge. That was something that you can implement maybe in the future. So if you don't have any questions, so I can tell you the class, the session is over. And then if you want to come tomorrow, you are very welcome. Another thing before you leave, I just wanted to say that yesterday students mentioned about an extra session that they wanted to have before our last task, final task. So if you don't mind, so we might have another one. Just you come with some doubts or clarification or before our last final task. Yeah, if you
Right.
agree, so then we can organize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So then have a good night. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
Thank
Good
Congratulations.
to
you.
see you
Bye-bye.
all.
Thank you, okay. Great to see you
Bye.
all. Okay.
That's true.